Hello, sweets, and welcome to the Birmingham Queerporium. I'm your host, Sam Merricks, and today I'm joined by the lovely, sort of, Joshua Tenney. How are you doing, sweet?
I'm good, thank you.
That's good to hear. So, today's topic is relationships and LGBTQ dating. Now, Josh, you chose this. Why did you choose this?
I chose it because I just think it's a really interesting topic, to be honest. I mean, obviously, everyone has different takes on dating, and obviously, people have different relationships and things. And obviously, with dating and being like dating in the LGBT community, obviously, that's different, and how it like varies to how normal dating would be, I suppose. Well, not normal, but just, yeah.
Yeah, I get what you mean. Like, it's certainly like a very like human thing, like dating and like relationships. Like, it's sort of like not like essential because like sometimes they say like, oh, relationship isn't like essential, but like what I'm trying to get at is basically like it's human nature at the end of the day, like
Yeah,
rom- like romance and like relationships.
it definitely is different. I mean, obviously, I think it really has changed, like, especially like even over like the last 10 years dating, like I think people like used to meet in more like social settings, like bars,
Mm.
and well, not necessarily that, but just general like through social interaction. Where now I feel like dating's very online based. A lot of people, well, people my age, like people like me and you, definitely meet people, well, like romantically, relate like to looking for relationships, but a lot of it is done online, on like Tinder and other platforms. So
Yeah, especially like back in like I want to say like the 80s, you literally have to like go to like a computer dating agency and stuff like that, and like have like literally
yeah,
someone like type in like, so what are you interested in? Compared to like now where like you can more or less like just tap anyone's photo and like message them saying like, hi, you interested?
yeah, you can literally just swipe on anyone these days.
Literally, I don't get enough swipes for me personally, but
No,
we try indeed. But
we are
like,
trying our best.
definitely, like, just like the whole like, because like, I'm not too sure how old dating apps are. I want to say like maybe like we'll say five
I
to
think they've
ten
been
ish
around for
years.
some time,
Yeah,
but
we'll
they
say
haven't
like
really like taken off until now.
yeah, I'd say like they're good like 5 to 10 like years. Like this, even then, they're still getting like more socially like evolved. Like for instance, like Bumble, like the woman has to message, and like
Yeah,
different kind of like things like that. But in terms of like LGBTQ dating, sorry, um, you have like elements like Grinder and like
yeah,
like hookup culture as well becomes like a main thing in our community as well.
definitely. And I think, being in the LGBT community, like relationships, well, I've found relationships quite difficult. And
Mm.
I think it can be harder for the community because there is, well, I would say there is a little bit of a stereotype where, certain apps, like you said, are used for hookup things, and it is harder to find more serious relationships, I think. So, and obviously it can be a bit like a bit of a harsh community in some senses. You know, it's not easy to find someone. So I'd say that has a big
Mm.
impact on dating.
Yeah, definitely. Like even like for me, sometimes it's just like it's why I often like say on like dating apps saying like, oh, so what are you looking for? Because like like they could be after something like completely different, and like it wouldn't be fair
Yeah.
on like either of us and stuff like that.
Mm,
But like especially like in our community, like it's very hard to like. I feel like we struggle with like commitment in our community sometimes.
definitely. And like obviously we're young and there's nothing wrong with that. People don't want to settle down. We're young, live your life, of course, but it can be quite difficult for like people that, are looking for something like a bit more serious, like if they want a more progressive relationship, like properly like dating someone, then it can be difficult, like especially with our age group, I'd say. So especially young people trying to get like in relationships, it's definitely hard, difficult.
Yeah, definitely. Like even like with like how complicated relationships are getting, there's like slowly more understanding, like to a point, like even with like open relationships, like the concept of that, like now and again I sometimes get it, then sometimes I don't really get it. But like I have to kind of like
Yeah,
put myself in that situation. But even like things such as like thruples as well. Like I find that an interesting concept as well for like dating and
Yeah,
relationships.
I just think, it's the 21st century and people can do what they want. So, and that's like the beauty. Well, to me, that's like the beauty of, I suppose, dating now in more like modern times than it used to be, because people can be just more open and more honest about themselves. And I think that's just such a wonderful thing. If people want to, like you said, if people want to be in thruples or open relationships or whatever it is, and that's what makes them happy, then that's great. So, and I think that is definitely a good thing about relationships now, is that, if you want something, it's not unrealistic. You can go out there and get it. Whereas like before, I think it was definitely much harder to find relationships, especially like, being LGBT. People weren't as like open back then, as I feel like people are gradually starting to become more comfortable now. So I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, definitely. Like, 'cause literally back in the day, we'd be arrested more or less, like for being,
I know.
LGBT. But like, even now, it's
Yeah.
like it's still like somewhat of a struggle because like you've got like basically ignorant bitches, more or less saying like we want straight pride, and like you
Yeah.
don't get it because we've had to fight for our rights to love who we want to love,
Yeah.
and you've been given this privilege that we had to fight for. So I'm just like, that's
Mm.
also another thing. Speaking of pride, another thing that annoys me. I think I may have mentioned this before in the first episode. Cut back to it if I have.
Yeah.
But the fact that like I've seen like even like some like gays in our community like that's don't really fully celebrate pride because of our like trans brothers and sisters, and I find that very stupid and just like complete ignorant. But
Definitely. I mean,
the whole like point of like pride is like a celebration of like every aspect of the community instead of just like basically like fighting one another.
yeah. I mean, obviously, we are a community and we should stick together. And if you want people to respect your relationship preferences, and you should by all means respect other people's sort of what relationships they want, their like sexual orientation and whatever. But it should be like celebrated, and that's like one of the nice things about the community, is that we can come together and celebrate each other and just lift each other up and just be our best version of ourselves, I suppose.
Yeah, like even though like the point of a community is like to celebrate each like aspect of it, but at the same time, like I can't help but like see like people in our community like just like discriminate against each other, like when it comes to like matters of like race as well as like even being like
Yeah.
transgender as well, like especially like the race thing as well, because like I've seen like a good number of profiles on like dating apps like Tinder or Grindr saying like, oh no blacks, no like Asians, stuff like that, and I'm just like, yeah, that's
Yeah.
straight up racist and ignorant.
Yeah,
Report.
definitely. Well, it is. Yeah.
It's like there's no way, like they can try and justify all they want, but like it's just flat out racist more or less.
It is, and it's like it's cruel. So I think it's just becoming, well, it's just it's just a real cruel thing to people, and people should be celebrated for their like cultures and race and stuff. That's what makes us unique, and it's like it definitely shouldn't be discriminated. No one's better than any other person. We're all the same at the end of the day. So
Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Like going back to my point, like it's already hard enough being like black or Asian in like this country, let alone like America as well. And like just adding
Yeah.
like further like hatred to that is like even more
Yeah.
damaging in that sense. But especially moving on to another point, like especially in Birmingham, I'm quite glad that like our gay village is quite celebrated. Like Gales, I think is like I think it's 50 or 60 years old, like Gales maybe, I'm not too sure. But
Yeah.
I'll fact check that in my editing. But
Yeah.
but like especially like yeah, just like gay village in general. Like I've mentioned this in the past with my other guests. Like I'm quite it always feels like a second home to me, to be quite fair. And like bear in
Yeah.
mind, like I'm only 20 years old and I've only been like out clubbing like since 18. So like just 2 years, like its impact has meant a
Yeah.
lot to me, to be fair. And
Well, it's a place that you can just go and like, there's people like you and you just feel more comfortable, I think. And if people are like the same as you, well, if you have like, I don't know, the same like sexual orientation, or you're like part of the community, it just makes you feel like you can relate to them more. And I just feel like that's a wonderful thing. It's like you said, like with relationships, you can have like lots of friendships of people in the community, and just people you can trust. And some people could have relationships with their own family, and people not be like embraced for their sexuality and stuff if they don't support LGBT, I suppose. And like you said, they are your second family as to some people. So.
Yeah, there's definitely like I just have that really so I am a strong chosen family in my head right now when I say this, but like it's more like it's the same. It's like we kind of like in our community we kind of like choosing form bonds with people that like have like lifted us up, like from like people that like people that like essentially like family, like blood family, like don't support that, but like in a sense, like even though I have supportive parents and stuff like that, like I still have like a LGBT family because like it's just on like a different level, but like still just as good.
Yeah.
If you get what I mean, like it's just like it's just like people that I'm just like more like related to in like a sense of like like talking about like our culture with more or less.
Yeah. I think that's like another thing about relationships, that like they can be so different. Like you can have relationships where you do relate to people in different ways, like whether it's family, so like by blood, or like friendships, and then obviously romantic relationships. And like you, like, well, us, like we can connect to people like via relationship based on our sexual orientation because it's something that you can relate to them by. That makes sense.
Yeah, I get you, mate. Is that like, but like on the other spectrum for me, like relationships in like LGBT dating sense, like going back to like our point earlier, it's very confusing, I think. Like for me personally,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm very easily confused. I'm sure you know that, but
Yeah.
but it just confused me in the sense like, it's like you don't know where you stand with some people in our community. Like you can't tell if it's
No.
like you just can't tell sometimes. Like is this going to like a more like relationship? Is this going to like a hookup type thing, or are we just friends? Like it's hard to read people just in general, and not just like in LGBT dating, but just in general,
Yeah.
it's hard to read people.
I know, yeah. I mean, dating is complicated enough as it is, but I feel like in our community, there's another layer added onto it sometimes.
Yes, yeah. No, I
I
completely
mean,
agree. It's.
yeah,
I'm trying to think how to like phrase it, but like it's definitely like it's just like another layer of like confusion than like you
yeah.
normally would with like a man and a
We constantly
woman.
walk around confused.
I mean, that's just me like normally and drunk,
Yeah.
to be fair. Just walking around confused. Catch me in
No,
the
but I
gate, please.
definitely understand what you mean. So
Hmm.
100% understand. I
Yeah.
mean, I've like my like relationship like history. Get the book out, but I've
You'll
spoke to
find a
people
picture of me
before, and
on
you
there.
can like unclear, yeah. You just like sometimes you talk to people and you just don't know where you stand, like you said. And I've spoke to people before, and you can definitely get mixed messages, and like people are not necessarily looking for the same things you are. I mean, I found a lot of the time, because I'm personally at the point in my life where I want something serious, and like especially like with my age added on to it being being quite young, I'd like to think, but it's really hard. So because people aren't maybe necessarily looking to settle down, and then you like match with people, especially like on dating sites like Tinder, like Grinder, it's very confusing and very hard to find somewhere that you can find that connection with.
Yeah, for sure. Like, I mean, you're only like a month older than me, I think, right?
I think so. Still babies at heart, though.
That's like clearly
Yes,
the
we are.
baby here.
Yeah,
But
definitely.
I get what you mean with like the whole age factor as well, because like it's like I just want something like in my head, I'm just like I just want one person that I can just be cute with, and that's all I want. But somehow it's a bloody mission. It's
It is.
somehow impossible. And I'm just like, I get that we're still younger. Like personally, at the minute, I'm like a point where I'm like I'm just quite comfortable being like single and just like having fun more or less. I'm basically
Mm,
being a whore. I've just advertised my
yeah.
services there.
Have
But
fun.
basically it's just like have fun whilst I can, but like I wouldn't mind like someone that just be like, let's be cute together. Like I just want that, really.
Yeah.
I'm open, just like my legs at this rate.
So
Oh,
I think like it's also like important to talk about like relationships with COVID as well,
yes, yeah.
because like with COVID, it's just like it's like we were talking about earlier with the layers. It's like another layer on top of that,
Mm,
because like like my personal like relationships have really like some have suffered, some have bloomed in lockdown. I mean, but I think people are like everyone has like connected with some people, and some relationships are strengthened, some have weakened. You know, some people may not talk to people they used to, and some may now have a really good bond with people. It just lockdown and COVID has just really added a new like twist on relationships, which is quite interesting. I mean, it's not normal, it's the new normal.
mm.
So that definitely has an impact on relationships.
Yeah, definitely. Like in the sense, like it makes you like value like the relationships you have with people more, but at the same time, like
Yeah,
like COVID's just put everything like a spiral, especially with like relationships and like even dating.
100%.
Like in
Yeah.
our case, like we started speaking again over lockdown. I
Mm.
couldn't tell you how, but but in the sense like so I've been on like a few like COVID safe dates myself, and it's just so weird. It's
It
I'm just
is. It's just
it's
yeah,
freaky. I'm just like I think I've
yeah.
only been on like 2 dates, like not with the same person, but
Mm.
he gets around. But no, it was just like even like in a restaurant setting, it was just weird and like you couldn't really just do much. Like
No,
so I
and
definitely feel
obviously,
like
like
lockdown.
yeah,
Oh, I went very brummy then. Hold on.
it's
So if you've
okay.
like lockdown dating, like it's completely different to like normal
Yeah,
dating.
100%. And like even for existing relationships, it's different. I mean, like with me and my partner, and with lockdown, we didn't separate, but because of our distance, we decided, to stay at home and obviously do the right thing, stay safe.
Yeah.
But that was, that had a massive impact, and like it really brought us together in the sense that, you can't rely on that intimacy that you have with like partners in relationships. You have to connect via like different means. So it really like puts you to the test, I think, with COVID. And like you said, with dating, you have to definitely find different connections, which I think is a good thing, because like it makes you connect people on a different level than you may be used to.
Hmm.
So I think it's a good thing and a bad thing in senses.
I just I just thought of like a like weird because like I know like during like this like during COVID times like even still like people are still filthy. And I'm just like, we get
Yeah.
that you haven't had action for a while, but like I'm not meeting you during the pandemic.
Yeah,
Like, come on. It's like I feel yeah, but like down boy.
I know. And like what we said earlier, like hookup culture in this community,
Mm,
it's just huge, and like to the point where it can be quite toxic. And that's something I would like to point out. Relationships aren't always positive. Some relationships aren't good. And that's one thing I would say, that in the community, there can be a lot of like, it's any community, there can be toxicity. But I think sometimes relationships, especially like LGBT ones, can be all the more tackling, because with COVID, you can't really. I'm trying to think how to phrase it. Sorry.
no, it's okay. It'll come to you. But
Yeah.
yeah, I get what you mean in the sense like yeah, just like what you said about like there's like I haven't had many relationships. To be quite honest, my
No.
last relationship was you. But that's how long it's been. but
Dust.
but
Your
like
relationships are dusty.
Dusty and Crusty.
Yeah.
That should be the name of the show, to be honest.
It actually should. That's a good name.
That's gonna be what the episode's called, Dusty and Crusty.
Okay.
I'll be crusty, it's fine. But
I'll be dusty.
yay. But like I can't. I would speak on like my stance with relationships, but I don't want to throw you under the bus at the same time. Like, oh, if I had a book on me,
Let me
like,
just clear
let's
my
read.
schedule for the day.
But no, like in a sense, like back, I think it was like 3 years ago. I know it's literally just before I started uni. So so bear in mind, like we were only babbies, so like I had no idea like what I was doing, to be quite honest. But
Yeah,
in the sense, it was sort of like scary at the same time because like I feel like it happens where you're thinking like don't mess this up, don't mess this up, then like
I know.
it happens.
I think like every relationship, it's like a learning experience, and obviously when relationships differ, you learn each things from a relationship. I mean, when we used to date, I've learned things from that. So, and obviously other things. So,
Yeah, I learned that you tend
and
to hog the bed
obviously,
sheets.
yeah, but
He admitted it. I got it on.
like
I got it on
especially in the
footage.
community. But obviously coming out, and then I feel like there is a lot of pressure on people to find relationships, and like you said, sometimes being single, there's nothing wrong with that, and people forget that. So, but yeah, coming out and then like this pressure to instantly find relationships, I think that's where sometimes some of the issues lie, because there is so much pressure, especially on like young people today, to do this and things. Like I said, with the hookup culture, there's a lot of like expectation, and it's so much pressure. I mean, I definitely felt a lot of pressure dating. It's hard, it's really difficult.
It really is. Like I remember like now and again I have like periods where I get really like caught up in like the dating apps, and like to a point where I remember at one point I was very like dependent on them, just like not like affirmation, but for like just for like validation, more or less, that I was like decent, instead of like finding it in myself. Like I was like literally messaging others, like kind of like fishing for compliments, but like it's like in the sense of like I was like very dependent on like a random stranger like on the day and that's telling me that I was like beautiful, than I was for me like looking in the mirror saying like, you know what, you are worth it. That sounds really sad. But that's the reality.
Yeah. The only thing I would add to that is, like you said, I think people can get so caught up in dating apps, and people will find relationships when they're ready, and sometimes I feel like people just need to take a step, like what do you call it? Take a step back.
Yeah,
that's it. Take a step back, and just basically relationships will like happen when you're ready. Like it's a natural thing. You can't force it, and like you said, you shouldn't look at dating apps as a way of validating yourself. Self-worth doesn't come from a dating app, it comes from within yourself. So I think that's a good thing to mention.
Yeah, definitely. Like I feel like you, to quote the infamous RuPaul Charles, if you can't love yourself, how are you gonna love somebody else? It's very much that. Like I feel like having self-love and like that confidence within yourself like often projects onto others, and it makes people more drawn in. And like that's definitely like what I kind of fail at now and again. Like I often forget like even when I was discussing with Paul, like just finding like one thing that's like you think looks decent on you, and like having that like spread outwards. Like just like just to make you feel let me try again. To make yourself look like more like, just to make yourself feel better really about like you and your whole image and stuff like that. Like just like small like tips and pointers of like self-love and like body positivity that I discussed with Paul, checked out as well. So I had to get some promo for my other episodes.
Got to get that promo in there. But I'm just trying to think what I'd add to that, really. But there isn't. I think we've pretty much just put it how it is. I mean, relationships and dating are a really tricky thing. So, but it's also a wonderful thing at the same time.
It's like, I would say there's like low-key a reason why I've been single for like 3 years, but at the same time, like I've low-key enjoyed it. Because like don't get me wrong, I've had like some trial and errors and stuff like that. Like from people like 3 dates in asking me, do you want to be official? And I'm like, no.
No.
And like from like people just like not even showing up and stuff like that. At the end
Yeah.
of the day, I'm just content being like where I am. It's like
Yeah.
even with the hair, it's like a promo, it's like a stunt to get
Yeah.
more attention, like a but no, it's just a weird one because I feel like it's definitely more. So as much as I would go back to my point earlier, as much as I'd like someone, I'm generally quite happy at the minute.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't mind
I think,
it.
yeah, like we're all on like, I like to think that we're all on journeys, and like people are just on different journeys, and like there's different stops along the way.
Hmm.
Like it's like, and like with relationships, you know, you might, like you said, now you're happy being single now, and that's great, you know, and then you might find something later, and you know, the world is so like everything changes, like with COVID, like nothing's safe, nothing's set in stone. I mean, things change all the time, and that's what people have got to remember. I mean, where you are today doesn't mean you're going to be in the same place a year later. So you could be completely different relationships, new friendships. I mean, the world is just such a crazy place, and everything changes so suddenly and quickly. So relationships are just constantly evolving and changing.
Yeah, certainly. I remember it just came into my head actually that I dated someone like November, December time, like during like the second lockdown here in the UK. Like
Yeah.
we tend to like face like I was stuck in the halls as well because like my brother and my dad caught COVID unfortunately, so I couldn't even go back home. But
Yeah.
so I was stuck here. Like I was actually like in these like uni accommodation like prison cells. It's very bleak and like there's nothing to do.
Yeah.
But so literally I would like FaceTime them like most nights and like we play games and stuff like that. It was chilled
Yeah.
and like came like the dates and like I really liked them. We're still friends now. But it was it very like it just felt like go back to prison. It felt like that and like just like seeing
Yeah.
them was like a conjugal visit. Like that's what
Yeah.
it felt
And
like.
that is like one of the good things about dating now, is that, you know, there are drawbacks, obviously, like we've mentioned about dating online, but then in some ways dating online is like, it is a nice thing in the sense that, you know, like with COVID, you can't go anywhere, you can't really do anything, but at least you can go on your computer or iPhone, whatever it is, but you can connect with someone. Like you can always connect with someone, make new relationships, and that's something that people never really used to be able to do. And like you said, you've had dates and FaceTime people, and like at least you've got some sort of social interaction, and that's just, you know, that's a really important thing. I mean, humans need social interaction. So, and I think that's probably been one of the hardest things in lockdown, people not being able to socialize, people not being able to see their families. And it like really does change relationships. Like I know I've already said this, but it really does, you know, it can really bring out, you know, the strengths in a relationship or the weaknesses in relationships. You just don't know which way it's going to go.
Yeah, definitely. Go back to your point. We're definitely very social creatures. Like in my
Yeah.
instance, I'm definitely way more confident like typing like a message because like I think I'm
Yeah.
like so smooth in my head. But like if I said well
Yeah.
I type in person to someone, it would come out like verbal diarrhea, and I'd be like, yeah, I've ruined my chances now.
I know. And that's another thing like with relationships, is that, you know, in different formats they're completely different. Like some people are so much more confident and comfortable behind a screen, and there's nothing wrong with that. Sorry.
So your
Hello, am I back?
face is gone.
I'm back.
It's an
Sorry,
improvement.
low power mode on the iPhone.
Oh.
Um, but in other senses, you know, it can be, relationships can be even more like challenging because, hang on, I forgot what I was saying. But yeah, like people can be more confident with relationships online is what I'm trying to get at. But then when you meet them in person, it can be a completely different relationship, even with the same person. And it can be extremely weird. I mean, even with me and you, like we're very confident because we've spoken on video chat a lot of times, like on Zoom, on FaceTime. But then when you don't see people in people for a long time, it's definitely weird. So that
You're freezing a little bit, but yeah.
am I back?
Yeah, you're back now. It's fine, don't worry.
Okay, I'm back in the room now. I'm sorry about that.
It's all right. Speaking of weird, my blonde hair at the minute is
Yeah.
oh People don't even know
You look
I've
like
done
a little
this.
sunshine. You're okay.
Bringing sunshine and laughs to this channel.
Yes.
That's the thumbnail, that is. But no, yeah, like my process is because like I said, I'm very like confident like texter, like when it comes to like dating apps and stuff like that. Like even like I recently gave this advice for like because I was like nervous about going to the university vlog like a few days ago. Like a point I made was like we're all in like a similar situation and it's something we can bond over, and like just owning like even if you're like socially awkward, just owning that awkwardness makes you more human and it puts people's shields down. And the same applies with
Yeah.
like dating as well. Because like I know like when I go on dates, I chat absolute rubbish, but it like puts people's like guards down and stuff like that. And just
Definitely it puts people at ease. I mean, like you said, we're all human and like no one's perfect. So and like dating is like it's a nerve-wracking thing. I mean, I've been extremely nervous before dates. So I think everyone gets nervous. But yeah, it's just all about, you know, getting to know people, building relationships, and some good comes from it. Sometimes not always, but you never know. That's what I'm trying to get at.
yeah, definitely. Like I know. Oh, it's like, I just hate the nervous feeling. Like I wish it was like something
Yeah.
else. Like even like
Yeah.
I imagine in hookup culture it might be like a similar feeling. It's very rare for
Yeah.
me, but
Literally, I'm the same. It's not really something I've dabbled into, but definitely
like
dabbed into dates.
yeah, like oh, it's just the whole like nerves. Like I get nerves. I just get nervous like of like the littlest things, and like to the point where I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm just like I can't do this. Like I will admit there have been some dates I've like chickened out of because I was like too nervous. I didn't do it with you, don't worry.
Exactly.
But
I mean,
it's
I've done it. I mean, I've chickened out. You know, we're like people do get nervous, and that's fine. You know, some people are like aren't. You know, some people not be ready to, you know, make that step with someone, and that's fine. You know, people just take their time to do things. So
sorry I had to burp.
okay, you're excused.
Why, thank you. There's nothing even in the mug. I finished. I just like flashing the mug and this mug.
Yeah.
But
I think we've like pretty much just summed it up about relationships.
yeah, I feel like we're quite blunt on it. So I'm like,
Yeah.
But
literally we're promoting relationships. Relationships are relationships. But no, what I think what we're just trying to get at is that, you know, people are on different journeys with relationships and they are, well, I think they're a good thing. So building relationships with different people. So, and like, they're such an important factor of people's lives. And like, I know we've talked about COVID already and we don't want to dwell on COVID, but COVID has really put relationships to the test. So, and I'm just, a part of me is, you know, not glad about COVID, but you know, it's like, it's not, it has brought good things out in relationships. I can't say it's all bad because it's not. So like, you know, like me and you, like we obviously talk on a sort of now and again basis with our lives, and obviously
it's
we've got a lot going on.
It's a monthly basis, I would say.
Yeah, but like, you know, like in lockdown, like we've like kind of connected again in our friendship, which is really nice. So, you know, catching up with people. So playing Xbox. No. But like it's someone to talk to, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, like reconnecting with people, and like pre-COVID, you know, people have got busy lives and like sometimes you can't always make time for everyone. So that's one good thing, is that I've been able to like reconnect with people and like rebuild relationships, which is great.
Yeah, I feel like in my case it might have just like I feel like my friendship circle's gone like smaller a bit. Like in terms of lockdown, like I was like gonna
but would
like
you say
I was gonna
I
like
would
read
say
names out for a minute. I was just like, no, not now. We don't want drama.
It's not always a bad thing. Like, you know, sometimes your relationship circle does get smaller, but with me, I've noticed over the last few years that my like relationships people are like especially my friendships like a lot smaller, but then I have much closer friendships with people than I ever used to. And to be honest, I am more happier having less friends and stronger relationships with them than I am having lots of friends, just kind of mediocre sort of relationships, if that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. Like, don't really like for me, there's like friends, then like there's just like a like tight like few people I consider like the
Yeah,
OGs, like the
yeah.
ultimates, the grand
The group,
supremes.
yes.
But it's just like even like because I even with like my like the OGs, like just like it was difficult with lockdown, but like we still had like Discord calls and like we played games. Like sometimes I even play like I drink over Zoom with like some of them and we play like games and stuff like that. Like it's like great fun, but at the
Yeah.
same time, like you just wish you could just like sit and chill in like their garden or something and just like, just even just like going to get coffee or something like that. Just like the simple, excuse me, like the simple like stuff like that. I think that's like roughly all we got time for, unless you want to add anything real quick.
I don't think there is anything I want to add, to be honest. I think I pretty much delved
As-
into relationships.
I think we've been quite blunt and honest, like with the whole
Yeah.
like the topic, which is like it's needed when like trying to like make a point, like just be blunt and honest. But thank you so much for being my guest. You didn't have to, but
It's
thank you very
okay.
much.
I hope it
um,
was too boring. I'm joking.
you did great, sweet. You did great. So anything you want to plug? I don't. Do you have anything to plug?
No, don't think so.
It's because like my past few guests, like they've had like such like because like I've had drag performers on and like my uni friend like doing projects and stuff like that. It feels
Yeah.
bad that like I don't think you have anything to plug.
No. So
Just catch you on the street corner near you.
yeah, just catch me around the street corners.
Catch me around the town.
Yeah.
You can catch Josh in
Okay.
Evesham. I'll say that
Yes.
then. But no,
Yes.
thank you. It's only tiny, you'll find him. But
Yeah.
but no, thank you so much.
It's
And
okay.
I hope you guys take care.